Hey everybody, it's Aimee. Welcome back to my channel. In today's video, I'm going to be elaborating on the key words of each cognitive function that was originally laid out by Dr. John Beebe in Energies and Patterns in Psychological Type. But specifically today, I'm going over the judging functions. If you want to see the perceiving functions video, you can watch that video right over here. So John Beebe originally named the essential qualities of someone who is processing information through the lens of said cognitive function. But for those of you who would like more elaboration on each of these keywords, a little TE in there, then my video is for you. And with my additional elaboration, I hope that you can understand not just the definition of the cognitive functions, but more the process behind each one. So why do we do what we do? What is the ultimate goal of our psyche beyond the surface level actions? Make sure you are subscribed to my channel. Give this video a like and share this video with your friends and family members who may also be interested in my content. Now, let's get started. The first keyword is going to be what the process looks like on the surface level, what others see in this person the most. The third keyword is going to be the ultimate end goal of the psyche. So at our most individuated self, when the heroic parts of us are working with our anima, or what is inferior to us, what does that look like? And the second keyword is the ego's chief concern, the why that is driving our everyday decisions. What is our main concern here? Now, this main concern may even keep us from reaching that state of individuation if we are not aware of how to satiate the ego's chief concern in a healthy manner. So let's start off with TE. The keywords associated with TE are regulating, planning, and enforcing. Keep in mind that both TE and FE are social functions. They're both going to be conductors of the social environment. The only difference is how they're going about it, what they are prioritizing in order to conduct this social environment. Right off the bat, what you will notice in all TE leads or TJ types is that they are regulators, meaning these are people who seem to constantly be controlling or supervising the outer situation by means of rules and or regulations. And no, rules are not just an SI thing.
I want to take the future. I want to win. And you don't get there by being some aw shucks nice guy sap. There's no place in business for people like that. Business is war.
Even if you meet the more FE TJ, you know what I mean? That one TJ manager that's all about synergy and harmony, but you kind of get the sense that it's not fully authentic, that there's some kind of performance going on here. Well, it's because with TJs, the ultimate goal of the TE psyche is not just to regulate themselves and others, but to enforce, to ensure that something will happen or be understood in a certain way. You can see how TE dips into their subjective, introverted feeling inferior a little bit in order to back up and enforce that which they've personally judged to be of importance. In fact, the more TE enforces, the more you'll notice this feeling nature creep up in the TJ without them realizing it. This is why it's so common for ETJs to mistype themselves as an ETP personality type, because they think they have no feelings when really the fact that they even notice that feelings exist as something to be concerned about, and they are experiencing that is what's getting in the way of an outcome, is essentially TE attempting to regulate and enforce something that they've judged to personally be of importance. So at the heart of the TE process, TE types are planners, and not necessarily long-term planning, but in anything that they do, even social interactions as well. This is why you may feel like a cog in the machine sometimes when working with TJ types. Everything is about deciding how to do something and predetermining the objectives and course of action to take to achieve defined goals effectively and efficiently. For the feeling functions, let's start with extroverted feeling. Remember, as I said, extroverted feeling, or FE, along with TE, is a social function. But unlike TE, what you will notice about the FJs is that they're always validating the emotions of others rather than regulating. And this is not because they are trying to produce some kind of an outcome like TE tends to do. Because by desiring to produce an outcome with your emotionality, there is already some self-interest involved, right? And extroverted feeling is not about self-interest. Instead, extroverted feeling knows that nobody truly understands the essential truth, so therefore it's important to at least validate the other person for for their truth and not use personal judgments of what's right or wrong to regulate the situation. But of course, the end goal for FE is not just to validate the truth of others, but to truly relate to it, to connect to something or someone, to identify with others. And for this, FE needs to dip into their anima or inferior TI to achieve this, detaching themselves from personal judgments and values to try to understand the essence.
I heard what you said. You just said, I don't sit with monkeys. You think because she's black, because I'm black, we're monkeys? Is that?
That's a proven fact.
That's a proven fact? It's a proven fact that I'm a monkey?
It could be, but
Go ahead.
First thing I want to get off my mind is
I want to talk about this monkey stuff.
These skinheads.
But usually what ends up happening is that because TI is a slower process than TE's bluntness and enforcement, FJs may initially have a tendency to simply parrot the ideology of others. You see what I'm saying? They will use their TI to try to understand the singular truth, detaching themselves from any subjectivity in exchange for precision. But until that precision can be found, they're still going to be in the process of validating other people's truth without fully establishing the value of the thing personally, like TEFI tends to do naturally. Imagine going to church every Sunday simply because it is one of your family's values to do so, or staying committed to your sorority or something simply because commitment is one of the core values of the sorority. It has nothing to do with the person, or this is what it appears to others anyway. But the heart of the process of FE, the ego's chief concern, is to offer someone emotional support or encouragement, to affirm. And of course, validating is not the only way to affirm others, right? There are many ways to affirm and offer someone that emotional support.
Second, you kicked in her door for which she had paid rent for the entire month of August. You had no right to kick in her door.
But this is the process of development for FE. To turn a simple validation of others that stems from this deeper concern to want to jump in and affirm into relating to them by understanding the essence of, to understand what exactly you are validating, to not be afraid of criticizing the ideologies of others. Eventually. Let's move on to introverted thinking. The key words of TI are naming, defining, and understanding. The first thing that you will notice about the TP type is that they're very focused on naming things. There's a precision in the names that they choose to give the object at hand. Naming in the way that enables the most potential, if you're TINE, or naming in a way to enjoy a shared experience, if you're TISE. What do I mean by this? So TI is not like TE because TE tries to enforce a definition that works, as TE is more about efficiency and effectiveness. What will make the most sense objectively, rather than finding the single definition or the single essential truth for everybody to relate to. Sure, the TP types may appear to others as slower to understand the way things work, especially to the damn TE types that are always just like, how do you not get this? But the irony is that TI is actually the only function in which the goal of the psyche is to understand. And if they don't understand the essential nature of, then what you're saying is simply false, and that's that. That is the truth. But the goal of the TI psyche is to understand. See how TI is dipping into extroverted feeling inferior there. I know there's a stereotype of TP types being that rebel that just doesn't follow rules, but this is only a stereotype that is generated by TE types who value systems in the first place. TI types are not rule breakers or people who are, constantly questioning and criticizing. Rather, I think the TI thought process is that there's no point in allowing these systems to rule us when none of us understand the true essential nature of that system or that thing anyway. And in trying to understand, they are actually better at relating to others because of the precision in which they name, even if it takes longer. There's a collectivistic nature to TI, but it is achieved through the naming of TI. And at the heart of the TI process is that there are people who define. They are people who value making clear the outline of, to state or describe exactly the nature, scope, or essential meaning of the thing, and what they've defined to be true. It's not really about the expression of personal values, but naming, defining, and eventually, maybe, understanding. And the last key words belong to introverted feeling, or FI. These key words are judging, appraising, and establishing the value. I always notice this thing when talking to FP types in general, and it's a facial cue, okay? They seem to always have this face of intense judgment and disgust. So what you notice right off the bat with FP types is that they are always judging instinctively, or in other words, forming or giving a personal opinion on the thing, situation, or matters. It's not just about likes and dislikes, by the way, because I do think that's more related to FI and SI working together. But FI in general forces reflection on the truth of what we are, whether by trying to get back to who we are or by moving towards who we want to emulate. There's a lot of person involved in the FI philosophy. So if you place two FI types together, and you are given the task of defining this object, you will most likely find that FI types will vary in answers initially, as they are weighing the truth through instinctive judgment. And no, this does not mean that they're stuck being biased, incorrect, or unintelligent, because remember, our psychic processes ultimately have a goal. And while FI starts off with those biased judgments, the goal of the FI psyche is to establish the value of. FI is ultimately trying to discriminate the value of the thing apart from our initial personal judgments. And you can see how FI is aspiring towards wisdom and objectivity by dipping into their extroverted thinking. This is why I think a lot of FP types mistype themselves as TJs as they grow older. Because sure, while introverted feeling has the word feeling in it, right? Those feelings are being regulated by an extroverted thinking logic. And even if they're not the best at enforcing those values onto others, because they're naturally not a thinking type, there's almost a silent enforcement that comes along with FPs. It's almost like when you're around FPs, people start to adjust themselves to the standards of the FP type due to a concern of being judged by them. It's like a silent power. And the reason why FI seems to be judging all the time is because the chief concern of FI is to appraise, to assess the value or quality of something or someone. And yes, these appraisals can appear off-putting to others sometimes, as they kind of appear selfish or inconsiderate. Sometimes
I just have a really low tolerance for stupid people.
I guess when you have no creativity and a lot of money and you've never worked hard, that's what it's giving. So it's no hate. It's just the truth.
But remember, if their assessment turns out to be illogical throughout time, then FI reestablishes the value of that initial assessment by finding that objective truth and regulating. The TE leads see this, and because they're more take charge types, they will seek to enforce a way to be socially with these values. In this way, you can see how FI forces all of us to reflect on the truth of what we are, just like they do. All right, everybody, that's it for this video. Thank you guys so much for watching. Make sure you're subscribed to my channel for more personality content, and also share this video with anybody else that you think may benefit from this. And I'll see you guys next time. Bye.